work from. Again, it's called One Last Call Lite on the MTL server. Go ahead and open that up and let me know when you're in it. I don't want to begin until everybody's got it. Just want to make sure we're all in the same place. So again, you'll navigate to the MTL server and you'll copy the file from the folder that says Vince. In it is a session. You need the whole folder, and it says One Last Call Lite. Awesome. Okay. Good. Cool. And there's a sign-in sheet floating around. We should get some in. You guys have a good weekend? Everybody have fun? Enjoying the weather? Loving the weather. Right? Yeah, I'm hurting. I did work almost all weekend. Yard work and taxes and cleaning the garage. None of the fun stuff, but at least the weather was awesome. Okay. And what we're going to do is we need to talk about a couple things before we do it. Now, I had you guys set up a reverb on Wednesday, and we did a little bit of that with the drums, but we really want to get into like how the effects work, talk a little bit more about what to expect. Does that have an iLock manager issue? Yeah, I don't think that. Oh, for that, just for that plug in. You guys okay? You guys there? Okay. So in your notes, go ahead and break out your notes. We just need to talk about a couple of things, and I'm going to show them to you and have you set them up as far as the routing goes. And when it comes to effects, reverb and delay are going to be very strongly used in music and in post-production. And the big thing I want to really talk about today is how you would route it, why you would route it, and in certain situations, like what your expectation for the routing would be. So I'm starting out with a session and our goal is to really work with a session that has vocals in it. And so the first thing I'm going to have you do before we really get going is set a few things up parameter-wise on the session so that we are all kind of starting from the same starting point. Oh, okay. All right, in your notes. We're going to talk about two things, okay? And then I'm going to show you. Pre-fader versus post-fader. So you can begin by writing post-fader, and you can just put post-fader effects. And I'm just going to give you what they are, and then we're gonna do them separately, one by one. Post-fader effects. So what this is, and this is what I want you to jot down. It's a bus send. Post-fader effects. It's a bus send. Two effects. A bus send, two effects, where the volume chases the main fader. Okay? Where the volume chases the main fader. This is very useful. You don't have to necessarily write this down, but maybe just shorthand it. We use this most of the time. And it's useful when volume changes of the main volume need to essentially align with the volume changes of the effects. Now, I'll show you this in working practice, but this is the most common form of routing used in terms of effects. Okay? Now, you guys have done the bus effect routing. It's just that you need to understand the modes and the difference in the modes. All right, your next thing I want you to write down is pre-fader effects routing, okay, or pre-fader effects. In pre-fader effects mode, basically what happens is the volume for the bus is separate from the volume of the main fader. Okay, so the volume from the bus is separate from the volume of the main fader. Cool part about this is it allows you to make the blend of effects versus drive based upon turning up the effects fader, the bus fader, and turning down the main fader. So we're going to look at both. Hoping everybody can get in. Did you find a session? Sorry, I just want to make sure everybody's in it. Oh, thank you. As soon as everybody's in it, I want to actually have you guys do a couple things so we can kind of get started on this, but I want to walk you through it so you're not super confused. So this is a light version of a session. In this session, I only included the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus of the song. At the bridge, and for the rest of the duration of the song, the track count here pretty much multiplies by 2 or 3-ish, right? So the full-blown session of the song we're going to work on later because we're going to talk about basic mix principles and things like that as a whole instead of looking at just like the drums or just the itemized things. For today, I just kind of simplified it, and so you see when you're looking at the tracks, you have a kick replacement, you have 4 bass tracks, and then you have a piano track. Notice guitar, we have guitar high left, guitar high right, guitar lead, pulse guitar, that's the non-lead, guitar clean, and then there's this guitar 3, guitar 5. What's interesting about, this is one of my sessions, what's interesting about this is I originally had a guitar 1, a guitar 2, a guitar 3, a guitar 4, a guitar 5, but when it came down to it, when we actually finalized the project, we eliminated guitars 2 and 4 because they weren't useful in the big picture scope. So, and then as you slide down further, are you in it now?
No. Where's the problem?
It's on the MTL server. Under my name. Switch to list view so it's easy for you. And it's just under Vince. And then just make sure you copy it to your data drive with your name. And then copy the folder that says one last call light. Just say Command C. Navigate to your data drive folder and Command V, and then open it up. Okay, so as you slide down, you'll see, beyond here, there's a couple extra things, tambourine, ambience, and vocals. So the vocals are what we're going to mostly work on today, but what I want you to do is I want you to set this up so you can begin to work on it by just setting some basic levels, balance, and pan on the particular elements that are in the mix so far. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to put your headphones on and you're going to set these up. But let me walk you through them as we go. So if you want to sling your headphones on partially so you can still hear me, and I'll walk you through these step by step. And normally we like to arrange and organize things in 2 ways. The rhythm section typically goes first in the track setup. So honestly, for my first move for you guys would be to go ahead and click and drag the tambourine so that it follows the kick drum, because it's all out here by itself and it needs to be with the rhythm section. Okay, so if you just grab the tambourine track, click and drag, do it by the track name so the track is moved. Don't move the actual clip. Okay, so the tambourine is going to follow the kick. So far, so good. So notice it goes, kick, tambourine, bass, piano. So our rhythm section's there along with the guitar. Then normally what happens is if I have multiple of something, so notice I got a bunch of guitar, the ones that come first should be the ones that begin the song first. Does that make sense? So all these guys start first, this guy starts first, and then these guys start, and then these guys come in. So that's why these, even though this says guitar 1 clean, it's actually positioned a little lower down here at the bottom. In addition to this, why don't we go ahead and move the track that says ambience to follow the piano? It's a little more in the vein, so now all of our vocals are all together right after the guitar. Okay, now what I want you to do is if you hit Command equals, let's go ahead and go over to the mix window and let's take a look at this. Now, what I want you to do is make sure your master is at 0. You should have a master fader at 0. That's your overall. Notice all of your faders are pulled down. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull them up. One note though, okay? So everybody that's grouped with a color, you see all the color coding down below? Those faders are grouped together, okay? So like guitars as a good example. So if you want to control them independently, you have to hold control, and then you can drag it independently. Does that make sense? So, and then as soon as you let go of control, then it's back as a group. So we're going to go ahead and start from the beginning. I'll go ahead and play this for you. And I'm just basically going to kind of fill in things as we go. So from the beginning, if I look at it in the edit window, I can see, all right, well, obviously the ambience is going to come first. I'm going to go back to the mix window. Let's go ahead and start rolling this. Oh, it's all right. Let's scoot it forward just a little. There we go. All right. So I'm going to bring in ambience and guitar. And if I go back and look, I can also see, like if I watch the timeline and I scroll down, I can see, oh, all right, this main Vox 1's coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the vocal group. Now, the only thing with this is I had a BF76 on here. I don't know why the settings are so whack. If you go to the vocal track, what I want you to do is kick it from the front. Actually, do me a favor. Just do it real quick. Kick it from the front. Get your ambience and your guitars up, and then we'll go to the BF76 on the vocal. So just push play, put your headphones on. You're going to want to listen to this because you actually have to navigate your volume sets. Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of extra sets sitting around. I don't know why. This one's not cascading, right? Miles, when you get a chance, this session is actually on the MTL server under my name. It's called One Last Call Light. Okay, so you need to just copy it and drag it over to your folder on the data drive, or copy paste it. Once you're there, go ahead and open up the VF76 so that it's open. So once you get the ambience and the guitar in the front section, if you push play and nothing's happening, make sure you hit return so that it goes to the beginning of the song. Are the meters moving? Go back to your mix window real quick. No, I mean your mix window. Or just let it play, and then go to your mix window real quick. Dude, what faders did you pull up so far? Oh yeah, that's because there's none. So you got to pull up all your faders first. So basically, you're gonna bring up your ambience, leave some headroom. So you don't want to hit it hard just yet because you need some headroom up there. Pull up your ambience and pull up the guitars.
So it's called One Last Call.
Yeah, it's One Last Call Light. It's under my name on the MTL. So find Vince Casas and you see One Last Call. There you go. You can hit Command C and then get that whole folder. So One Last Call Light. Click on the whole folder.
Oh, right.
Yeah, click on the whole folder and then hit Command C and then you go to your data drive and hit Command V and then open it up. All right, so we're into the 76, right? Almost. All right, when you open up your BF76, I don't remember why. I think something else was added to the chain. Let's go ahead and set this up. This is something you've already done. What needs to happen here, and in most cases, this is the best way to do it. The vocal should be technically one of the dominant things in this song because there's a vocal in it. So what I want you to do is hold Option, click the fader for the vocal so it goes to nominal on the mix window. So essentially you're going to hold Option, click on the fader, so the vocal, the main vocal goes to nominal. Make sense? All right, so that's at nominal. Now, what we're going to do is all of the volume levels that we're going to set are going to come from the BF76. Now, we want a good amount of compression, but we don't want to kill it. So in this instance, it had a 4-to-1, but it looks like it was pretty slammed. So I want you to hit factory default on the BF76. Just click it again, or like click it twice so that it resets. And then go ahead and push play. Actually, an easy way to do this is if you go to your edit window, double-click Vox 1's clip so it's highlighted. Once you do that, it'll just loop. Then you can push play. Now we need some gain reduction, so we're going to have to drive the input, if you remember this from Wednesday. So I'm just going to push it a little bit. And then my output, I got some headroom here. So, we're in a decent spot. I'm just going to leave it there for now, okay? Now, the only other thing that I'll say about this is you notice that right next to it, the fader right next to it is Vox 2. If you look at it in the edit window, you'll see Vox 2 takes over. Now, I kind of mentioned this last week where we do these a lot of times in parts. Well, we'll notice the intensity level of Vox 1's clip. And then go look at the intensity level of Vox 2's clip. Do you see the difference? So what's happening is it's kind of driving as it goes. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to have the vocal compressors be somewhat alike, but also just remember that the second one's going to hit it harder, so we might not like the exact same setting. So what we're going to do is highlight by using the selector tool, click and drag, and do the, highlight the exchange here from this part, the end of Vox 1 into the beginning of Vox 2. And make sure you hit Command S as you go. So each time you do something, please hit Command S to save. Then what I'd like you to do, and click and drag the BF76 to the neighboring vocal, Vox 2. What that does is it copies the plugin just as it is, okay? So once you've done that, go to your notes real quick and jot down, copy plugin is Option, click and drag. All right, so to copy your plugin is Option, click and drag. So you're just copying it over into the vocal 2, all right, or Vox 2. The only catch is notice that after you did it, which one's highlighted between the two? At the plugin up top. Say it again?
Oh, voice on.
Yeah, so even though you copied it, it didn't throw you to it just yet. So real quick, go ahead and click on the second one so that you're on this one, the one on the right, not the one on the left. So that all we're going to do is make adjustments to this one. Go ahead and repeat the step you did before by holding Option and click the fader for Vox 2 so that it's up at nominal. Okay, so you're just going to Option, click for nominal. Go ahead and push play if you have that transition highlighted. And the goal is just to make sure that it's not too compressed because it's louder, it'll be compressed more. And you can't explain all the color. Realistically, give it a listen. It's only minute variables there. And Miles, to start off, I just had him push play at the beginning and turn up. You can literally just copy the level you see here on the ambience and the guitar from the beginning. Make sure you hit return so it kicks you to the beginning of the session. So just on your keyboard, hit return real quick, just so that you're kicking off from the beginning. And then you can literally just set in the mix window the ambience level, the fader levels for these right now. And then as soon as you're done with that, move Vox 1 and Vox 2 to nominal and open up the BF76 for Vox 1.
You have those at negative 7.3.
Which one? These guys, this one's at negative 3.6 and this one's at negative 7.0.
Oh.
And then everybody else is just off. And then the vocals are at 0 at nominal. All right, so far so good, right? Now, what you may have noticed is the intensity increased, but the final output seemingly stayed mostly the same. Like it's fairly consistent. All we need to do is get that part set up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you bring in the rest of the music that fills in around the vocal. Here's the goal. For now, I want you to slowly bring other things in so that everybody's in from beginning to the end of this first chorus, but the vocal still has to be dominant enough that it's the loudest thing. So nobody else really should be overpowering the vocal. Does that make sense? Everything else is just going to kind of fill in. So what you can do is, and we're not going to do any other processing as of now because today we're only focusing on the vocal. I'll say this, minus, for now, do everybody from kick to Vox 2 and leave out BGV1 and all that choir section, okay? Leave all those individuals off for now because we're going to deal with them separately after we get through this first pass. So if you go ahead and roll it from the very beginning, start to fill everybody else in now that your BF76 settings are good. Is that cool?
One word to say to someone home beyond what's true. One heart. You're the wondrous voice and you can't explain all the colors as they come tonight. Let them come tonight. Say, 'cause you're breaking up and we're breaking down. All the world is spinning around, around and around and around. And you're worth the talk.
Miles, I'm just coming over to make sure. So after you get that set up, okay, those are all good. After you get that set up, throw your headphones on.
I hit return.
Oh yeah, no, actually, what you're gonna do with these guys is drag the tambourine over so that it follows the kick. You can just, yeah, there you go. And then select one of these other guys real quick because I want you to take the ambience and have it, just the ambience by itself. So click any one of those so it clicks off, and then click the ambience by itself and drag it just beyond the piano. There you go. And I don't know where this, did you add a track?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, just hit delete. Just go to track and hit delete. So you get rid of it. There you go. All right, so now what you're going to do is, so we have the guitars. The ambience needs to go to -3.6.
So I can just click it in or I have to drag it? 'Cause I was like,
Yeah, you know, -3.6. Yeah, there you go. It used to allow you to just type it in. An older version supports it. So I don't know why. We used to do that all the time. All right, after that, what you're going to do is on the vocal, hit Option and click the fader. It's going to throw it to nominal. Okay. Then what I want you to do is open up the 76, and I want you to hit Factory Default so you reset it. So click on, see where it says Factory Default. Or yeah, click it and click it again, so it resets it. Okay. And then go ahead and push play. Put your headphones on. Highlight this so it'll play it there. Like see where that vocal clip is.
right.
In the purple, yeah, double click it so it plays there real quick, and then you're just going to set up the, yeah, there you go. For now, just do just the purple one.
Okay.
Yeah, click it again, double click it, so it's highlighted, push play, and then you're just going to set up the volume. So you need, so notice there's no gain reduction. You were here when we did the VF76.
Yeah.
Was it? You just need to drive the input so there's some gain reduction, and then after you get a mild amount of driven gain reduction, you can then turn the output volume up so that it's nice and loud.
Okay.
So, you know, probably don't want to go too intense. You probably want, well, you can see mine's on screen, but you just don't want to go too, you don't want to go too far with it.
Right.
And then you can offset, like if it's like too quiet, then just take the output volume up.
Okay.
And watch your meters here to make sure you don't clip.
I'll click it. And then what do I do after this?
After that, you're going to copy that to the next vocal.
Okay.
So like, when you're done with setting that, go to the mix window, and you're just going to option, click and drag it here so that it copies it over.
All right.
Yeah, so option, click and drag is to copy plugins. And then you'll move, like once you move that over, you'll move this guy to nominal.
Okay.
And then that's when you highlight both. You just want to hear how they transition if you need to make any adjustments to it there.
Okay.
All right, so real quick, how many of you got through it, putting up stuff? Okay, here's the thing, and I went ahead and left mine this way. So real fast, if you see this on your master window, you went too far when you set this up, which is totally fine. How we remedy this is what we'll do is we'll click on the clip first where it shows in the red, so it'll get rid of it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go open up the window down here. See this little arrow right here? And notice we have our groups here. All you have to do is you're going to click all. All right, so right here, so that it goes gray, like right here on this spot right here, so it goes gray. And then you're going to just go ahead and turn everybody down just a touch. So if you watch your vocals, which we had put at nominal, will be the guide. So we're going to go ahead and back those off if there's a little bit of clipping. Let's say we do -2. Okay, so we'll back. Notice it should pull every fader down. What we're then going to do is deactivate it, hold Option, and reset our master so it's back at nominal, and then just double check that you didn't end up clipping anymore from there. You just need a little bit of headroom there. And it happens as you go, so you just kind of have to keep re-pulling the group down. Also, make sure you continue to hit Command S. All right, so as you keep going, hit Command S so you don't lose anything. in the event that we lose power again, like we did last week. Yeah, so if you hold Option and then you click and drag, bingo, and then hold Option and click on the fader so that goes to nominal, and then you can check those out. You highlight the transition, just make sure that transition's good. If there's a volume discrepancy, you're going to fix it in the compressor output. Yeah, so that compressor output will be where you offset it.
Okay.
All right, so everybody so far so good? Okay, now we're ready. Now that you have a basic level, now, this is the thing. I always, this is how you should be doing things when you mix. Okay, you do not add effects. Okay, unless, like, if effects are supposed to be part of the exact sound, like guitars are a great example. A lot of times I say, hey, look, record with your effects on guitar. All right, don't expect me to do it all in post, because that's a lot of work if you have a specific sound. But when it comes to doing overall effects for the mix, what you want to do is you want to set levels first. Set levels and pan first before you start building effects. A lot of people jump to doing effects early. Problem is effects start to muddy up the water, so you want to have a good balance of what's going on between everybody first, so that you hear the difference between whether what you're doing with your effect is actually adding to or taking away from the sonic capabilities of the song. So now that we have a basic balance, we're going to go ahead and start adding effects to the vocals. Now, where do we put the effects when we build the bus? Where should they be in the listing?
At the end.
At the end, right? Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. Now, I don't think I mentioned this before, and I did notice it on Wednesday that I had forgotten to mention this. What you need to do is click the last track on the far right in the nameplate, because when you build a new track, like we're going to do, it will follow the track that's highlighted. Okay, so we're going to click the one farthest to the right, and we're going to go ahead and have you hit Command-Shift-N. Okay. Now, before you make your selection, just don't forget, we need a stereo aux track because we're going to be doing effects. But what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and build 2 for now, okay? So first digit where it says create and has a number, go ahead and hit 2. And then go ahead and select stereo, right? Stereo, aux input, okay? Stereo, aux input. Make sure it's on an audio track. It's got to be stereo, aux input. You're going to make 2 of them. And go ahead and hit create. The first one I want you to name, so once you do that, double click the first one, you're going to name it Reverb. And as a hotkey, so once you type in Reverb, before you hit OK, as a hotkey, please write this down in your notes. Command and the arrow down, or I'm sorry, is it right? No, it's down. Command and the arrow down moves you to the next nameplate. Okay, when you're labeling the nameplates. When labeling the nameplates, it moves you to the next nameplate. So instead of hitting OK and having to double click on the next one, just hit Command down and it'll send you to aux 2. I want you then to name aux 2 delay. Okay, so we have aux 1, which was reverb, and we have aux 2, which is delay. Oops, sorry, I accidentally hit return on mine. Bummer. There we go. All right, so we have reverb and delay. What we're going to go and do, like, this is how you would set this up in a mix. Like before, I had to do one at a time, but because we know we're going to have a reverb and delay, we can go ahead and itemize their assignments right away now. So what we're going to do first is reverb is going to be called bus. What do you think? We haven't used any buses so far, so what should we make the input for reverb? 1 and 2, and then what would we do with delay? Bus 3 and 4. Now, what I want to show you now, I don't know if we ever talked about this, but before we do it, I want to have you write this down in your notes. Cascading input and output assignments is what it's called. Cascading input and output assignments is what this is called. So cascading input and output assignments. And we're going to do it real quick with this. There's only 2 of them, so it won't be much to do, but cascading inputs and outputs. So what we're going to do first is cascading just means that we can have these set so that when we set one of them, it sets all of them and it throws them in order. So we're going to use bus 1, 2, and then bus 3, 4, and because they fall in order, a cascade move here would be a quick, easy way to do it instead of having to do this twice. All you have to do, step 1 for cascading, step 1 is highlight the nameplates of the desired tracks. And step 2 is you're going to hold Shift plus Option plus Command. Step 2, Shift plus Option plus Command. Shift plus Option plus Command. Assign the farthest left track to the lowest needed number. And I'll show you, what that was going to, what you're going to do there. So Shift Option Command and assign the farthest left track to the lowest needed number for the assignment. So if my lowest needed number of the assignment is bus 1, 2, then what I need to do is on the far left track, and in this instance it's only 2, on the far left of my tracks, and let me actually just do, let me set these to no input. On the far left, I'm going to hold Shift Option Command on the far left, choose the lowest number bus, and it will cascade the group. Now, if I had 20 of these, it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. See what I'm saying? So if we already know we need a group of buses, why not go ahead and route them? And all we then need to do is just remember who's who, okay? So reverb is bus 1, 2, and that's where we're going to start. So go ahead and cascade your reverb and delay so that you have bus 1, 2, bus 3, 4, and then we'll move on to setting up the reverb first, and we'll get the assignment set up in the sentence. Just give me like a wave when you're done. That way I know you're okay. Awesome. Awesome. Good, good, good. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the reverb, and then we'll go and set up the delay. Now we can technically, because again we know that we need them, we can go ahead and set up the plugins right away. So on your reverb plugin, go ahead and set up, I think in this one, I remember, I think there's only one reverb. So on your reverb plugin, just go to multi-channel plugins, go down to reverb. Yeah, there's only deverb, so choose deverb. After you choose deverb on the reverb channel, go over to delay, and let's go ahead and choose, I wonder if, oh man, that sucks. Let me see. Oh, that really stinks. They don't have that, they must have stopped putting it out. We'll do mod delay 3. I guess you can do mod delay 3. What I will say is, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. By Wednesday, hopefully we get through all this stuff, so by Wednesday I'll show you how to do a special effects delay. For now, we're only going to use one delay. In most mix sessions, you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 reverbs. Sometimes it's a reverb for the snare, and then maybe 2 reverbs on the vocals, and then 2 delays at least on the vocals. One is just a standard delay, the other one's a special effect. Sometimes some people like to use chorus, like a light amount of chorus or some sort of doubling effect in the background. So you could have 5 or 6 effects. Right now we're just going to do a very basic slim version of this, and we're going to do reverb and delay. Now again, because we knew we needed these guys, we also know that what we're going to do with the vocals is we're actually going to set up for the vocals to be sent to reverb, and some of them will be sent to delay. Now how you know the difference is this, typically. Most of the time, all vocals get reverb, but most of the time the lead vocals are the only ones that specifically get delay. The reason why is because as soon as you have multiple layers of vocals, for every instance of vocal that you have, if you throw a delay on it, it adds that much of a repetition to the group, which means if the timings are slightly off or misaligned with the group, let's say we did a stack as we have here of people singing oohs and ahs in the background. If any of their timing is off and they all are going to delays separately, then what ends up happening is for everybody that's off, you'll hear it off 3 or 4 times as the delay kicks back through, which just makes it super messy. So a lot of times we'll put the leads with a delay, but we'll leave everybody else with just a reverb or maybe some sort of special chorus effect, okay? So we're going to go ahead and pre-plan these. I want you to assign to both vocal 1 and vocal 2, I want you to assign sends on sends A and B to bus 1, 2, and bus 3, 4. So up here on sends A and B, for the vocal 1 and 2, we're going to add bus 1, 2, bus 3, 4, bus 1, 2, bus 3, 4. And then what we'll end up doing is for the background vocal, we'll go ahead and put the one that's BGV1 that you see neighboring. We're going to go ahead and select BGV1 through chorus 5, the last of those groups. So go ahead and click on BGV1, hold shift and click the last one there. Make sure you hit Command S as you go. Once you have that group highlighted, all these guys are just going to get a basic reverb, so we're going to send them where? We're going to throw a reverb on them. What bus do we want them on? 1, 2. So what I want you to do is hold shift. This one's very important. You have to hold shift plus option. If you accidentally just hold option, it'll do it to all tracks in the session. So you have to hold shift plus option, and we're going to assign bus 1, 2 to the first one. Shift, option, bus 1, 2 to the first one. You'll see. It just throws it on for that whole group. So by now, you should have, everybody's in there, they're just not routed in terms of volume. So no volume has been applied as of yet so far. Okay, so yeah, so click on the first nameplate and then hold shift and click on the last. And then hold shift option and assign bus 1, 2. Right?
Which delay were we using?
Oh, the mod 3. There we go. You okay? Or did you hold shift option?
Yeah.
Do it again, shift. Okay. All right, so here's where we are right now. And this is where we get to elect pre versus post. For now, what I want to show you in the lead vocal, we're going to set these guys all up post. So what I'd like for you to do is there's 2 ways you can look at this. And I showed you this last week. You could hold command, and if you click on this right here, you can see it. You can see these as a fader in the strip. But if you actually just click on them instead, although mine's out of view somewhere. Where is it? There it is. If you just click on them on the right-hand side of it, instead, you actually see it as an independent fader. Now, in the independent fader, even though these are good to see down here, like it's fine if you want to hit command and throw these up so you can see them by hitting a little arrow there. But you get a lot more information if you open this up. Well, one of the things you see here is this is where you get to elect pre versus post. So it's technically by default, the send is in post mode. Okay? By default, the send is in post mode. You have to elect it to be in pre mode. And then there's another thing that says FMP. The FMP, which isn't important for the lead vocal because we're going to keep it at 0 in the panner, means follow main pan, which means if I say FMP here, anything I do down below on the main panner sends the effects pan in that same way. Let me reset this. We will be doing that when we get to the choir vocals. But just to give you an understanding, we created a stereo aux input for both the reverb and delay, which means the reverb is stereo and the delay is stereo. Well, the thing about it is that when you pan the track, you can technically pan the track. If you don't select follow main panner, you can pan the track to the left, but if it's coming out on the bus send down the middle, it's still going to both left and right when it's going to the reverb, which means the reverb will send it out both left and right, but the main fader will only send it out left. So you can always set up some sort of variable to that. Like a great example that I like to use with that is if I'm trying to create a string orchestra that's fake, like a virtual string orchestra. Well, ideally, like the string section is going to have an actual seat in the stereo position. But for the reverb, a lot of times what I like to do in order to kind of still make it big, because if you itemize them too isolated, it kind of makes it feel separated. What I like to do to make it big is I'll just take the reverb and I'll set the reverb to just be the opposite, opposing, so that if my viola is sitting stage right in the reverb, I just flip it so that it feels like it's house right, essentially. So that what happens is I get a little more out of the sound. So the main sound's over here, but the reverb is reporting on this side, just to make it bigger in scope. So that's why you'll have panners separate for the bus, because you can actually pan where it falls in the reverb. In this instance, we're just going to leave it off. We're also going to leave the pre off, but here's what we're going to need to do. What I want you to do is go ahead and click on the vocal that says Vox 1 on the clip. Go ahead and click on it so we're on it. Make sure then go to Options and make sure you're set for loop playback in the Options menu. This always helps you when you're processing things like this because you're going to want to make sure you're in loop mode, all right? So just double-click that purple clip that says Vox 1, go to Options, make sure you're in loop playback. What we're going to do is we're going to set up the reverb. Now, on Wednesday, I said, hey guys, you know, when we're only mixing a couple of things, then we just set the reverb send at nominal, and we turn down the reverb itself. But when we're doing it like this, where we have multiples that are going in, we actually want to feed the reverb itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and push play, and we're going to feed the amount of reverb that we hear.
One word to say the song, beyond what's true. One heart to bleed the night till it becomes a part of you.
Now, what my suggestion is this. Feeding the send for the reverb takes 2 steps. Step 1, we're going to set up the reverb itself. Step 2, after we're in a good spot and we hear it nicely, a lot of times I always suggest when you're in the mix, tuck it away just a couple dB more than you prefer. Does that make sense? So like it's not audible until you turn it up enough. But the problem is if it's too audible, it doesn't sound good. So a lot of times you want to make it audible enough so you can set it up and then take it down a couple dB so that's nice and tucked into the mix. So first thing you're going to do is go ahead and set a level that you can hear. All right, so once you can hear it, okay, I like it. Now open up the actual reverb and choose some sort of preset setting in the options here.
One word to say the song, beyond what's true. One heart to bleed the night till it becomes a part of you.
So go ahead and put your headphones on, get that set up real quick. So you're just going to do 2 steps. You're going to set the level so you can hear it, and then you're going to go ahead and set up the reverb, and then once you're done with that, go ahead and pull that bus send down just a touch. Sorry. All right, once you're set up, just give me a wave. Okay, just give me maybe 60 more seconds. Okay, so let's take a look here real quick. One thing that we run into, we haven't really had to deal with it because we don't have a ton of compression on here, is in the reverb a lot of times what the higher frequencies have more energy, so they tend to splash around a lot more. So a lot of times when there's fricatives that come across the teeth, it's a lot of what you hear is you'll hear it accentuated in the verb, and you'll also hear it accentuated in the delay. So that's why you see there's essentially this low pass filter option. I would move this down to let's see how far we get. Yeah, I'd go to about 12. What happens here is you also have the high frequency cut. The low pass filter allows the lows to pass, and it filters out the highs, which means nothing above 12 will report. Does that make sense? But the high cut is just literally a dip in the frequency. What I think your high cut might need to be about 7 or 8. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think it's somewhere in there. It's basically just what happens is only by experience would you know this, but between 7 and 8 kilohertz is where all the stuff that splashes off the teeth comes out a lot of times. So all that kind of tends to be needed to be de-essed or cut in there. Now we didn't de-ess it on the actual track, so we're just going to pull it out of the reverb for now. So now on mine, you could have chosen a larger one with a larger decay time, which is fine, just to give it a bigger presence. But I did medium to tighten mine up because I'm going to throw a delay on here, and it's going to kind of throw a whole other set of things going on. Now, notice when we get to the chorus, mine is on plus 2.3. When we get to the chorus, the other track takes over. What I suggest is because everybody, now this is kind of an interesting concept. Once the music really starts to kick in a little fuller at the chorus, the same amount of reverb will not be effective on the track. So if I just use the same amount of reverb going into the chorus, it gets absorbed by all the other sounds because there's a floor for the reverb. Like let's say the reverb's this loud, and the music's all right here, and it's just above that cusp so you can hear it. Once the music gets louder, all of a sudden the reverb almost feels like it's non-existent because it falls underneath that floor. And if you just imagine the decay, well, they didn't leave a marker up here, did they? Marker. No, okay. If you imagine, this is what happens. Oh, there it is. The decay is how essentially how it releases, overall. So when the reverb goes off, every word that's said, it decays like this, right? The problem with it is that decay is, I don't have my reverb up, but if you look at your reverb, you see there's decay time, right? On your reverb, it's right in the middle, it's a big knob, it says decay time. Well, the problem is the decay time gets absorbed by the music that's around it, so in reality, you don't hear the full decay time that's listed there unless you solo just that source. With the music playing, you won't hear it as it decays all the way towards the bottom. So as the music is louder, you hear less and less of the decay. You kind of follow what I'm saying here? So in some instances, the appropriate move for the chorus is to have more decay. In some instances, it's just easy enough to just turn it up, the send up overall, so that when you get to the chorus, there's just more reverb to begin with in terms of volume. So the decay feels a little more natural. So what we're going to do is, if you're going to look at your bus send for your vocal, and then when you go to Vox 2 and you transition to the chorus, you just need to have more than what you have assigned here. So more than whatever your original is. So mine is plus 2.3. As we go to the chorus, I just need to make sure I have more, just enough, not too much so it's overdone. So again, you might want to highlight the transition. And notice the chorus actually gets louder down towards after the second half. And I can show you an easy fix for that as soon as we're done with this. So go ahead and set these up between the two.
Come save the night, come save the night. You're the wondrous voice, and you can't explain all the colors as they come tonight. Let them come tonight. Say you're the one last call. Let love time and time again. Come save the night, come save the night. You're the wondrous voice, and you can't explain. Let love time and time again come save the night, come save the night. You're the wondrous voice, and you can't explain all the colors as they come tonight. Let them come tonight, say. Let love time and time again come save the night, come save the night. You're the wondrous voice, and you can't explain all the colors as they come tonight. Let them come tonight, say. You're the one last call.
Miles, you got caught up, right? Everything else good? Pretty easy, right? It's actually not too difficult. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, this is going to be your first introduction to automation, but it's needed almost immediately. You're all caught up, right? You're back with us now? Okay. So, in your notes, please write volume automation, okay? Volume automation. Now, in this instance, what's important about volume automation is what we have to do volume automation. Volume automation essentially replaced, like back in the day, it used to take like a couple guys on the console, if during the song something needed to be turned up, turned down, something switched on or off, an engineer would do it while they were printing to the master track. So essentially while they were printing to whatever their master track was, they'd make those things manually. Like they actually had to do them. Panning effects, whatever, you name it, in and out, punches. They did it live. Now what we do is we automate it in the system because when the bounce happens and it gets exported, it has to do it on its own. So we have to program it to do it because we can't do it live in this situation. So what we'll do is we will actually write and create these automation points. But the rule of it is step one in your automation here, I would go ahead and write this down. Step one, make sure you have your overall average volume set. Problem is if you don't, then you have to automate everything. That makes it a huge pain. So think about what we're going to automate for is in this instance, what I'm going to have you guys do is automate the bus send for 1 and 2 so that in the middle of the chorus, when it repeats or it goes through the second half of it, notice there's a bunch of tracks that begin to join us, the kick, the piano, there's extra guitar. When we get to that juncture, we're going to move up the volume of effects. So you guys already set it here, so it's nice and set, and we're going to only make one move, and it'll only be one volume bump, and that's it. If you didn't set it before, you'd have to set this first, and then you'd have to set this second. It's a huge pain, so it's easier to just have it set before we set the automation. Now, we're not going to go for full-blown automation just yet, so I'm not going to walk you through every single thing about it. I'm going to give you the quick and the dirty now so that we can use it with our effects. Step 2, go to go to the track view of the required or needed desired track. The track view is over here, and notice you don't see it. We have to be at least medium to do it. So on Vox 1, or I'm sorry, it's on Vox 2. On Vox 2, you hit the little ruler. Let's move to medium so that you can see the track view selector that says waveform. In step 2, go to the track view selector and move it to either volume, or in this instance, it's going to be the volume. It's not the general volume, it's the volume of bus 1, 2. So you could, in your step 2, after you go to your track view selector, select either volume or the bus send level. For what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and select the bus 1, 2 level, okay? So you'll select the bus 1, 2 level. It'll look like this. It'll say send a level. It doesn't say send reverb level, but it says send a level. And it looks like this. Okay? In step 3, we can do, there's actually a think if we do, sorry, let me just make sure this parameters. Okay, so it'd be here. Let me just make sure this parameter works still. Okay, yeah. Easy way to do it as a group. There's okay. So step 3. There's 2 ways to write in the automation. Actually, there's 3 ways to write in the automation. Sorry, there's 4 ways to write in the automation. The downside to it is there's a lot of ways to write in the automation. Just write this down in step 3. You can just put 4 ways to write in the automation, and I'll tell you the one that we're going to use that'll be easiest first today. 4 ways to write in the automation. You can do it live. You can just write live. Is one so of the 4 ways. Live is the first. The second is using the pencil tool and drawing it in. Downside to that is it's messy, but it's doable. The third one is you can use the grabber tool to create the breakpoints. And the fourth one is you can select a range with the selector tool and then use the trim tool to turn it up and down in the fourth one. And the fourth one is use the selector tool to select a range and use the trim tool to pull it up or down. Now, I personally prefer that method, and that's the method I'm going to show you. So the one that we're going to use, notice this, if you kind of look up, you can see at about, what is this? This is bar, it's approaching bar 89, or approaching bar 90. But it's got to fall before, it has to happen in the gap, okay? So like here's the rule for volume automations. The volume can't change during the audio waveform. Otherwise it becomes noticeable that it was turned up. Does that make sense? So what we want to do is we want to hide the volume change of the reverb so it's not so noticeable. And we're going to highlight, use the selector tool or the smart tool and be in the selector mode and highlight right around here in this gap. You can see where it would start, see where that pulse guitar left-right is, and that's when it jumps in. Highlight that group, pull it all the way to the end of the track. Okay, so highlight it first. Step 1. Okay, so of option 4, your first step is to highlight the range. And then, you go to the one that says send track 2 selector, go to the one that says bus 1, 2 level. Yeah. Once you highlight the range, all you have to do now you don't do yours yet because you didn't set the. Take me to the mix window real quick. Well, you're on the 1, 2 of the BGU, so you get the 1, 2 box 2. And okay, yeah, because it's off. Also, you needed to have copied this, so hold Option and click and drag the BF76 over. There you go. So that we have that one rolling. And you basically you just need this one to be louder than this one. So go back to this one real quick to see what level you had it at. Oh, did you not set these up yet? Send level, I would at least at 0, so this fader level will turn it up. Yeah. And then what you should do is put your headphones on and see what level what that's like, and just make sure that you do this when you turn that level on a little bit more. I mean, for now's purpose, you might just want to put this at like 0. That's fine. Just maybe go to this next one and just hit Command or Option and put the fader so it goes to 0, so it's sending. Because you can't write your automation until, because your automation line needs to be up before you start. And now you can write your automation point. Did you want to do the selection for that section? Yeah, okay. After you select the area, the range, then you need that line, you see the line going across, that's the actual automation. But here's how it works out, okay? What we don't want for this is, we don't want the appearance of it going up. So all we have to do is do a straight up with it, or down, okay? Well, all we want is it to pop up, and we're going to do it immediately. So easy way to do it is grab the trim tool, and with it highlighted, go to the trim tool, and make sure the trim tool is doing this little face down bracket thing. All you're going to do is click and drag it up. Now, for safety's sake, let's go no more than +2. Let's push play and see what it's like. All right, you see it's pretty simple, right? All it's going to do is your bus send level when it gets here, and I'll show you where you would see it. So now that you see these two here, when you go to your mix window, if you open up bus 1, 2, you'll see that from that transition point, and you'll just see the fader move. You see it? It's just instantaneous. You know, and it's not supposed to be necessarily noticeable. It's just supposed to fill in. I mean, really what you're wanting it to do is have about the same energy, if not a little more, than the previous section when the more music comes in. Whereas if you hadn't automated it, you kind of notice it gets absorbed or it kind of gets sucked away by the rest of the music. Does that make sense? Another thing I hear from this is we could actually elongate the decay for the part where it holds out those notes. Maybe something we can get into on Wednesday. But this is the effects are when it really gets fun. What I'd like to do now is let's go ahead and go to the delay real quick. Did everybody automate that real quick? Make sure you hit save, Command S. Let's go ahead and go to the delay real quick. Now, for now, let's just start with let's start with the verse, and we only should need a mild amount of delay. Now, here's the catch, okay? The one thing I didn't mention before. The delay, in order for the delay to sound natural, a lot of times we like the delay, because it's delaying, we like the delay to be refiltered and recycled back through the reverb, okay? You follow me on that? So we made a reverb aux, and now we made a delay aux, but I want the delay aux to cycle back through the verb. In order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to the delay channel, the one that says delay, and take it to bus 1, 2. And really, you don't need a lot. You can just throw it up about halfway towards the 0. It's not going to need a ton. It can be overburdensome once you start pumping the delay through. So all I did was put a bus 1, 2 on the delay, turn it up about halfway. I did -13. Once you're done with that, let's go ahead and begin at the verse. So we're going to go back and highlight the purple section of the vocal, that vocal clip, and we'll loop it and add delay until it's tasteful. Now you'll notice, actually I think before we do that, let's open up the delay just real quick. I forget what setting this comes in on default. Oh, is it too tight? Okay. Well, 250 is actually quite short of a delay. Let me put it back. Let's, with the delay open, go ahead and send to bus 3, 4 on Vox 1. So listen how this works. So you hear how it's very... What we're going to need to do is we want this to be a real short, tight delay. Notice how it has notes at the bottom. We're going to want to cycle these through based upon being synced into tempo, based upon the tempo, and it shows it right here, 106. So you can hear it, and it's kind of weird, so I'm going to tighten it up. All right, I think I like the 16th note. So the tightest one you have is the 16th note. Notice it only did it for the left, so I'm going to do it for left and right. When you're done and you like it, what you're going to do, in order to make it, now this is the crazy part, with a delay, it's got a left and a right. If the timing on left and right are identical, then it feels like it's mono. So when you set it up, tempo-wise, you're going to want to make sure it's synced to the note, and you're going to want, for now I suggest 16th note. Go ahead and take one of them and just slightly augment it by roughly 10 to 20 milliseconds. So like if this one started at 70, sorry, I went way off. I'm just going to go ahead and type it in then. It started at 70. I'm going to put this other one at 80. Let's try 85. Because the discrepancy between the two is going to make it feel like it has a left and right instead of just down the middle. Now, notice it's kind of annoying. So what do I do? Turn it down, right? Go ahead and set that up for the verse. As soon as you're done with the verse, give me a wave, we'll move on to the chorus. And I'll leave my delay settings up so you can see them.
Which audio clip did you have? You had the verse set up?
Yeah, just the verse on Vox 1 for now. So I'm only sending right now. I only have the bus 3/4 from Vox 1 up. Okay, once you have that done, we're going to do the same thing for the chorus, except that the chorus, you can have this. You're going to want the bus 3/4 send for Vox 2 to be a little bit louder, just so we get more energy. And then we're going to need to go back and do the volume automation so the second half of the chorus has a little more delay, just as the same way we did the verb. Does that make sense? So, go ahead and go to the chorus clip for Vox 2, let it roll, and send bus 3/4.
You are just voice, and you can't explain all the colors as they come tonight. Let them come tonight. Say you're one last call before they cut their veins. Would you come out tonight? Come out tonight and say what you need to say. 'Cause you're breaking up and we're breaking down. All the world is spinning around and around and around.
Once your chorus is set up, go ahead and go to the track view selector and select the send B level, the send B bus 3/4 level, and do the same automation that you did before for the reverb. You're literally just going to go over to the section here, right, and highlight, take the selector tool and highlight where about right here at that, right before bar 90, all the way to the end. Take the trim tool and just dial it up, push play. Like, you're going to have to listen to it to make sure you have the right volume. And then you should be in a good, safe spot.